Dogs play a huge role in our lives. They're known as man's best friend for a reason. When a dog joins a household, they become a part of the family, and there's no limit on what we will spend on them to make sure they are healthy and happy. But we don't tend to think about the darker side of things, and we forget that there are plenty of dogs around the world who are displaced, abused, abandoned, or being raised in horrible living conditions. And even just being aware of their stories is the first step towards making a difference. Hello, my name is Emily, and I recently adopted this dog, Stanley Tucci for short, from Coveted Canines Rescue. So I recently went away for a few months, and I came back and I saw my dog, who's a 10-year-old golden doodle named Jessie, just seemed really old, and made me really sad, so I wanted to look into rescuing a second dog so she would have a friend to kind of brighten up her days. Tucci is a Chihuahua Dachshund, and they call it a Chiweenie, and she's 3 years old, and she came from Texas when they had Hurricane Harvey. So she was a stray, they think, and she was staying in a shelter, but they were going to euthanize all the dogs that were in the shelter to make space for all the displaced dogs from the hurricane. So Coveted Canines had some volunteers drive down to Texas, and then they brought back a bunch of dogs to save them and give them a better chance at a second life here in Canada. So after I rescued Tucci, I got more curious about the process of adopting dogs. So I contacted Carly, who's the founder of Coveted Canines Rescue, and I went and I asked her a few questions.
So I originally I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids, and I sort of felt like an obligation to do something for the world. I on Facebook, seeing the kill list, seeing all these poor abused animals, neglected animals. I'm one of those people who watches all of those videos of rescue missions of dogs and cats and cows and donkeys and whatever. And I just felt like there has to be a way to help these animals. There has to be a way. And I've always been very connected to animals. I just have this intrinsic need to assist these poor sentient beings that just get thrown away and abandoned and have no sort of control or power as to what happens in their lives. So I started to reach out and volunteer for a few dog rescues. And then I was able to become manager at a pretty well-known dog rescue and gained quite a bit of experience that way and learned how to basically run my own rescue. So then I left that rescue and started a rescue, and it's been amazing ever since. And we started with just a few dogs, and now we've adopted out hundreds and hundreds of dogs. Right, Mr. Sparkles? Yes. It's just sort of grown, and everybody's a volunteer. Nobody gets paid. We're a registered nonprofit. We're going for charitable status, and we're just all really, really passionate. And it's hard. It's not easy, but it's you have to be dog obsessed to do it. So I'm definitely dog obsessed, and so are all of the volunteers and managers, so it works for us. I do virtually nothing compared to what all of the fosters and the volunteers and the vets and the trainers and everybody does. They're just so incredible. It really is a village.
I started with Coveted Canines because it just felt like it was filling a void in my life, and I was taking positive out of the negative of my dog passing away, as this is an opportunity to start volunteering with something that I love doing, and it's been absolutely awesome. It's helped me health-wise, and mentally it's just so rewarding to look after dogs and help them get somewhere better so that they have good people looking after them.
So we take in owner surrenders. We take in dogs from Toronto Animal Services, so from the local shelters. And then we also take in dogs internationally. So for international rescue, we usually connect with or partner with different shelters or rescues. And we see dogs that are posted either on kill lists for the day, and we work with our partner to help pull them in the location in which they are. and then they go into quarantine for several weeks, depends. Like the US is 3 weeks, Mexico is at least 6 weeks. And then once they're vetted, they come to Canada. So for places like Mexico, we bring dogs in via flight escorts. But for places like Arkansas, we have this amazing not-for-profit, it's actually a charity called Kindred Hearts Transport Connection. And they drive the dogs to us, to the border, and we pick them up there, and then we bring them across the border with our import number, and they become Canadian. So then once they arrive in Toronto, we take them to the vet immediately, and we redo all the vetting. So like if we always get heartworm, 4DX blood tests, wherever they're coming from, but we repeat everything because generally the blood tests that are being done they're using snap tests, which aren't like 100% accurate. So we take blood and we send it to the lab. So we know for certain that the dogs are going to be okay. And we do fecal tests and we make sure they're microchipped. So we'll microchip them if they're not. And we deworm them, make sure they have to be properly vaccinated to come across the border. And then we do any other sort of necessary care. And then once they're vetted, they go into their foster homes. And we provide supplies for all of the fosters, everything you could ever imagine. And then we keep them in foster for a little while. We wait for the blood tests to come back. We wait for the fecals to come back, that kind of thing, if they need medical. So once they've been assessed for their medical and we have a sense of what's going on with them, then we will also assess their behavior in foster care. And if we feel that they need assistance, we'll get a trainer in to do a full behavioral assessment and a training plan to assist the fosters, which can then be utilized by the eventual adopters.
Fostering the dogs for Coveted Canines is also extremely rewarding, but it can also be very frustrating. The most difficult part, I guess, is when the dog gets adopted, because you really miss the dog. I mean, there hasn't been one dog that I've been glad it's gone, but there are definitely ones that are my favorites.
Once everything's sort of done and we have a sense of the doggy, we either bring them to an adoption event or we'll post them on social media, and then we start receiving emails from interested applicants, and then we set up meet and greets. So either you can have a meet and greet at your adoption event, or you can have a meet and greet facilitated at the actual home of the foster, and you get to sort of hang out with your dog, the doggy you're interested in, and determine whether or not it's a good match. And then if you want to proceed, then we start calling references. We do an interview, home visits. We also sort of assess the application to make sure that it's like truly the appropriate fit. And then if you're approved, we send you a congrats email saying that you're the chosen parent of this new wonderful doggy. And we like to stay engaged with our adopters, so every once in a while I'll send out an email asking how people are doing. We'll ask for updates, photos, we'll post like 1-year anniversaries, like things like that on our social media, just to sort of stay connected to our adopters. And we're always available in case the adopters need assistance with something.
There are so many people involved in the process. Like, we have a manager for literally every aspect of the rescue, and it takes a lot of time. Like, I'm lucky because I'm retired, so I don't have a job right now, so doing this is my job, but it's completely volunteer. There's no compensation for anybody that volunteers for Coveted Canines except the reward you get for looking after the dogs. But as I said, I'm like the transportation manager. Carly's the founder, and she kind of oversees everything. We have a foster manager, a foster support manager, we have an adoption manager, social media, fundraising, adoption event, community, volunteers. So there's a lot of people behind what we do, because there's also the vetting, which is an extraordinary amount of work, and there's all the veterinarians that help us by giving us discounts on the procedures and everything that have to be done for the dogs. And all that money is coming from all the fundraising events that we do. So it's all given right back to the dogs. The the death rate for dogs, as I don't know the exact figures, but it is really, really, really high. On a regular basis, the shelters tend to euthanize the animals fairly quickly. And these are not animals that are just sick or badly behaved. These are healthy animals that would be really good adoptable dogs. And that's what we're trying to save. And unfortunately, we just can't save all of them.
It's really hard. Like, it's really heart-wrenching. There's so many dogs we see every day that we can't save. And we see their little faces and their eyes and know that they're gone now, and you couldn't save them. So it's hard. It's like a really intense thing, but it just sort of helps propel you forward on your bad days to know that you are making a difference, and you just have to keep going, because if you don't, who will? The importance of rescuing dogs is paramount, because there are so many millions of dogs every year being euthanized in totally inhumane ways in shelters all over the place. And you are literally saving the life of an animal when you adopt and you don't shop. Puppy mills are just rampant, and those dogs have neurological issues. They're inbred, and you'll have all sorts of health issues and potentially behavioral issues due to the way that they are raised. And buying from breeders is obviously an individual choice, but there's nothing like the look in a dog's eyes when they know that they can trust you and you're their forever option, their forever home. It's the most fulfilling thing you could ever imagine. And anybody that's adopted a rescue dog, can tell you that it is a spiritual experience having an animal that was literally at death's door, that you opened your home up for to save its life. So you're just giving back so much goodness to the universe. It's such amazing karma, and it's life-changing.
Hi, honey. I remember you. Hello. I remember you too.
It's just been a great experience adopting her. She's like my actual sweet baby. And I think that it's really important that people are rescuing dogs from organizations that are helping animals in need.
I would encourage you to adopt, not shop.
So adopt, don't shop.
Thanks for watching!